Hello, this is the instructor's introduction for narrative part 1, but I want to point out that we have over the next learning units, narrative part 1 with a bunch of really great information that I'm going to go over now, and then there's narrative part 2. And so it's important that you check out what's going on in narrative part 2, because with these two learning units, you're going to submit a photo series that's like your rough draft and then a final draft. So let me go over narrative and interpretations part 1. So of course you have a really cool introduction where there's a lot of great National Geographic photographers talking about what is a photograph about. And that's really focusing on what we've been talking about with the last learning unit, composition and design, thinking about what you want your message of your photograph to be and how you're framing that message within the elements that we just covered. So these are all links to all the photographers in this video. And one of those photographers is Brian Scarry. I'm not sure if that's how you say his name. And he's a wildlife photographer that focuses mainly on marine life. But he's just one of the many photographers that's covered in this learning unit. There's some really important required readings. So you're going to want to watch this 2-minute video that I made that illustrates the importance of reading these 3 articles that you're going to then reflect on in the later homework project, where you're going to need to pull out a quote from one of those articles. So be sure to review all the information that I've provided for you here. You're also going to want to review this 2-minute video where I talk about, again, the importance of listening to this required sound cloud that references this article and the information that I've included here for you to think about when structuring a narrative in your image. And so these 5 different concepts are explored in this article that I'm asking you to read and review the SoundCloud. So a lot of great information is included here. This is a really cool website that I found. If you click on this link, it's going to take you to the article. And if you click on this link, it takes you to the photographer's website. I'm sorry, it's not fitting into my screen. But you can look at that on your own. And basically, Kate Woodman has created this really cool website that talks about the concept of making a photographic narrative. And she kind of breaks it down to these 4 different parts. So these might be helpful for you to consider when thinking about making your narrative photographic series. And then this is a 5-minute video where she talks about her creative process for a series that she did called War Widow. So I'd like for you to review all of this information, watch this video, and think about some of these ideas when you're working on your project. This is the list of photographers that I've put together for you, and these are going to be great areas of inspiration. And like I said with the composition and design learning unit, the more you take the time to review the videos that I've included, all of these different links to photographers' websites, and get ideas of how other photographers are using composition and design, time of day, subject matter. You know, she examines beauty from all different perspectives from all around the world. So if that's something that you're interested in, I've already got easy links for you to click on, which will take you to these photographers. David Gudenfielder works primarily in North Korea and has some really evocative and interesting images. So I've collected for you 30 different photographers to review, and I usually try to tell you what type of work they're doing. So you have a sense of like, well, I'm not really interested in marine life, but I am really interested in travel photography, or I am really interested in human suffering and struggle. whatever visually I think you're interested in. I've collected so many different photographers with all these different easy access links that you should be able to review these and enjoy yourself as you just look at all the different photographs that are collected here. And then these are helpful links. So these are not required, but Renee Breyer, this is a really interesting TED Talks where she talks about the storytelling power of photography. So more information for you to utilize to really be able to capture the requirements of this learning unit. So here we have Narrative Series Part 1. It's required that you watch this video. I go over a lot of important information that relates to not only the required prompts, but just some of the photographers that are in this learning unit and a lot of great information. And if you click on the PDF and download that, open it up, you can also, let me just see if I can get this, there we go. You can navigate through this on your own pace, even while you're listening to my video that I've included on that page, and learn more about these different photographers. These links will take you to, for example, this work by Nan Golden. This is a really important page where I've made all these links that take you to websites that talk about subject matter and important concepts that will be helpful for you. Sorry, let me just navigate back to considering your project. So these are all really useful links for you to review when you're thinking about your discussion board and how to do that as well. So I've really included a lot of helpful links that, again, I realize you have to take the time, but that's part of your educational experience. And also in this PDF are some student examples. So I go over these in the 10-minute video, but you can also look for yourself. Like here's a great series that a student did about a couple kissing in these different locations, right? You always have this couple here. This is a great series that was exploring our relationship to narrative, and they also included text, which is something you might want to think about. This student was exploring portraiture and personality and self-expression and sexual identity. The student was exploring her relationship to vaping and what that meant to her. The student is exploring a narrative about the complexity of childhood. So these are all important things that I've put together for you in this 10-minute video that will really help you be much more successful with the narrative that you're creating. And so for this part 1 homework, you're kind of doing a sketch, which then you'll revisit again in part 2. And here you're responding to your classmates' posts, and I want you to really reference these questions. So be sure to take the time to think about these concepts. And again, I keep stressing, like, invest time and energy in your students' work and the feedback that you give to your students. And then finally, for this learning unit, there's a homework project to reflect on the required reading and the podcast that I wanted you to listen to. So you can click back to the required readings if you need to read them again or review them while you're doing this homework project. You can also refer back to the podcast if you needed to listen to it again or revisit the concepts in the article. But basically, I go over all the details in this 3-minute video, and then these are the prompts that you need to respond to. So a lot of really great information in this first learning unit, which is the narrative. Let's go back, excuse me, to our, sorry for fishing around, to the narrative interpretations part 1. Review all of the information that I've gathered for you. It's important and will be really helpful. Thanks for listening.